Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays here, and sometimes we talk about a lack of Blu-rays. And I've done this recently, and you folks seem to like it. So here's another round of movies that I would love to see get a Blu-ray. It's about a 10 or a dozen or so. And I just wanted to start this video by saying thank you to the folks that in the comments on my last video mentioned that The Intruder, the Roger Corman film, actually has a French Blu-ray, which I was able to track down. Actually got it through Amazon UK, and I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but it looks like it has the interview that was included on the DVD, so I may be able to get rid of my DVD, but this is a Region B locked disc. But just wanted to say thanks to the folks calling that out. If any of these are available on disc that I'm not aware of, feel free to let me know. I'm pretty sure none of them are, but I could be wrong. But I will start with one that I'm quite sure doesn't have a Blu-ray, shockingly, and that is Paul Verhoeven's film The Fourth Man. One of his Dutch films before he came over to the States. This came out, I think, 83-ish, and it is a really, really neat thriller from Paul Verhoeven, who, of course, would go on to do things like Basic Instinct, Starship Troopers, Total Recall, all kinds of good stuff. But this is one of my favorites of his movies, and it's one of those that if you collected the Anchor Bay DVDs back in the day, they put out, I think, an entire like Soldier of Orange and Turkish Delight and Spetters, which has gotten a Blu-ray from Kino. I want to say that was part of that group. But so there's this great Verhoeven collection, and some of these Anchor Bay DVDs, I think a couple of them might come up in this video. But yeah, they're just some really good movies that for whatever reason that I assumed, oh, there must be a Blu-ray overseas, but not that I can find. So, unless there's a bootleg or there's one somebody can tell me about. This thriller is about Jeroen Crab, who he would use. I can't remember which films is he in Total Recall? He's in The Fugitive. I always remember him as Harrison Ford's buddy from The Fugitive. He plays an author who is he's a controversial alcoholic novelist who claims his stories lie the truth. And he's basically invited to I don't know if it's a festival about his books or if he's just part of the festival, but he's invited to go to this festival. He gets on a train, has some weird experiences on the train. I won't get into, gets there and meets the woman who's sort of the director of it, played by Renee Sudanjic. No way, I can't do it. Lovely blonde lady, and she kind of seduces him, and things go way off the rails after that, and it just gets kind of crazy. But it is like dark, sexy, very R-rated Hitchcock. If I'm even trying to draw a comparison, but I don't think that that's fair. I think it's better than I'm making it sound. Really great stuff. This DVD actually has commentary from Verhoeven, which is cool. But yeah, really want a Blu-ray of that. So, Fourth Man, big time. Now this one, I thought maybe I'd seen announced in one of those neo-noir sets from like Imprint, but I don't know that they've done any Fox titles, and that may be the obstacle with this one. It's called Blood and Wine. It is from 1997. It is directed by Bob Rafelson, who did things like Five Easy Pieces with Nicholson. He did King of Marvin Gardens. He did Postman Always Rings Twice remake, and a couple others I feel like that I'm blanking on. But, a big 70s director, and this is sort of a return to form for him. It stars Jack Nicholson, Stephen Dorff, and Jennifer Lopez. It also stars Michael Caine, and it's really great. It is available to stream, so, there's that. Some of these aren't even available to stream, but This one, it's about Nicholson plays like he's a guy who does like wine cellars. He designs wine cellars. I don't know if he sells wine too, but Nicholson is mesmerizing. Beautiful wife, Judy Davis. Sexy mistress, Jennifer Lopez. Wine merchant is what he's considered. But he's got a stepson played by Stephen Dorff. His wife is Judy Davis. His mistress is Jennifer Lopez. And he gets an idea. His buddy is Michael Caine, who I think helps with the wine installations, or maybe he's just a freelance criminal. But he has some rich clients. He has one particular rich client who's going to be out of town, and he thinks he can steal some expensive jewelry from their house and get away with it. With the help of Michael Caine, who's got like some kind of lung sickness, like he's coughing all the time. It looks like he's going to drop dead at any moment, which kind of helps with the suspense sometimes when he's in a place where he's supposed to be doing something and you're like, oh my God, is he even going to make it out of this room, let alone out of this house? But they're all great. All the actors are great. And once the jewels get taken, things start to go complicated in a great neo-noir kind of way, and it's just a great performance from Nicholson from the 90s that I feel like maybe a lot of people didn't even see then, but they definitely don't know now. J-Lo, great, everybody's solid, but just really twisty, fun noir stuff from Rafelson. And this one has a commentary by Rafelson, Scream-specific commentary by Nicholson, Michael Caine, Stephen Dorff, producer Jeremy Thomas, film historian Stephen Farber, deleted scenes, making a featurette. It's actually a really nice DVD. So I really want that one. I'm hoping, it is a Fox title, so that could be problematic. We haven't seen a lot of Fox stuff licensed recently, but never can tell. This one, probably not going to happen, but it's called 1201, and it is from 1993, I believe. And I've been a fan of this one for a while. This is directed by Jack Shoulder, who he did The Hidden is a big one from him. Nightmare 2. I feel like he did some other cool genre stuff that I'm blanking on, but I'm a big Jack Shoulder fan. And the easy sell on this is it's Groundhog Day played straight, or for a thriller. And the idea is that Jonathan Silverman works at a company called Utrell, I think. And they do some sciencey stuff with particle accelerators. And his coworker is Jeremy Piven in an early Jeremy Piven role. He's not really broken out quite that much at that point. I feel like PCU is just coming out and some other things. But he's really good as his coworker in this office. So it's an office environment. Silverman's like pretty low level. And he and Piven go out. He goes home. He is about to go to sleep, and his light is blinking, and he goes to reach for it, and he gets a shock, and then boom, the day resets. And you have to sort of figure out why that's happening. But he is the only one that's aware of it. And so he is taking some time to figure it out. It has one of those movies that I love time bounce movies. I think they're great. Love to make one at some point. They're just so much fun. And I've loved the resurgence of them, Palm Springs and, Meet Cute, whatever that one was. I love that stuff. Days repeating. Retroactive is really good too, with, Jim Belushi and Frank Whaley. That's on Blu-ray. But, so Helen Slater's one of the scientists who works at the place. Jonathan Silverman's interested in her and wants to be romantically involved with her, but also realizes she might be able to help with this time bounce thing. And Martin Landau is also a higher up in the company, and so it's sort of a conspiracy thing, like what's happening here and what's causing this time bounce and how do we fix it. And I really dig this movie a lot. It's just one that I've been a fan of for a long time. It was originally made for cable, I think, but this DVD from Image Entertainment has a widescreen version of it. And it's got a commentary by Jack Shoulder, too. I just don't necessarily see this one happening for some reason. It's New Line Home Entertainment, so could be licensable, but maybe it's not a movie people remember. I don't know. I just love this one, so I had to put it in there. Another one that I love, and I was just happy to get this DVD, to be honest, from Umbrella. I'm hoping they'll do a Blu-ray. Lunatic's A Love Story. This is from director Josh Becker, who did Thou Shall Not Kill Except, if you know that one. He's part of the Sam Raimi, Rob Tapert group. And this is a super interesting, very cult movie in that it stars Deborah Foreman and Ted Raimi and Bruce Campbell. How do they describe it? In a seedy part of Los Angeles, poet Hank Stone, Ted Raimi, has spent 6 months without leaving his apartment because of his paranoid delusions and of sadistic doctors, rappers, and spiders. The sadistic doctor he hallucinates is played by Bruce Campbell, who wants to try and cut his head open. Bruce Campbell also plays the crappy boyfriend to Deborah Foreman. Nancy, Deborah Foreman, who seems to jinx things by wanting to help, is dumped by her boyfriend. That's Bruce Campbell, who's really good in the crappy boyfriend part. Finds herself penniless on the street and soon runs afoul of a local gang. Hank accidentally calls her at a phone booth whilst trying to dial a talk line. I think it's more of a sex line. And invites her to his place. They must help each other overcome their respective problems. And this is a Region 4 Blu-ray. It's 1:3:3:1. I don't know what the original aspect ratio of this was, but I'd only had a bootleg of this prior to that, and I only thought it was released on VHS, but I was happy to get this. A Blu-ray would be great, but it's a really interesting. This agoraphobic who puts foil on the walls and foil on his own head and foils on himself, and Raimi plays it really well. And Deborah Foreman, who is just adorable, getting together in a weird way, and there's some uncomfortable scenes with them, but ultimately it's kind of a romance, and it goes to some cool places at the end. I'm just a big fan of it, and it just does not seem to be known at all. I don't think this one's streaming. Maybe there's a YouTube rip out there. Okay, this one, I mean, I know this is probably not going to happen, and it is streamable. You can buy it on Vudu or whatever, but it's Midnight Madness. It's one of my favorites from my childhood. Let's see, which one do we want to... We'll go with the Anchor Bay. Actually, that's full frame. Actually, these are both full frame. You know what's interesting? They're both full frame DVDs. This and the Disney one. And it is available on widescreen to stream in HD. So not a lost movie per se. I'll put this one up here for a second too. Just a really goofy, fun video classic. I think a cable staple. Came out in 1980. Was responding to what I think was happening around the time at some college campuses, which is they would do these scavenger hunts, but they're like clue hunts. For those unfamiliar with this movie, a nerdy guy basically targets, I want to say, is it 5 different specific people who are part of 5 different groups. There's a jock, a sorority sister, a nerd. Let's see, there's the bad guys, if you will, rich kids, and then David Naughton's group, this here. And he invites them over to his place, and he says, I've got this game you're all going to play. It's called The Great All-Nighter. It's a 24-hour thing. You start at the Hollywood Tower, which is still in L.A., and we'll give you a clue to the next location, and that'll have another clue, which will lead you to another location, and so forth. And, of course, they initially all laugh it off, but this guy named Leon, the nerd, is like, I picked those people very specifically. They have, in his mind, he knows they have conflicts that will cause them to want to play, and they do. And features very young Pee Wee Herman. Shout out to Pee Wee. And it's just goofy fun. You know, Eddie Deason stars here. Deborah Klinger, young Michael J. Fox. Stephen Furst, fresh off of Animal House. And the poster, if you've seen it, is very Animal House. In fact, I've got a half-sheet poster of it right up on the wall up here. I'm not going to tilt up to see it, but I just love this one. It's goofy and dumb, and I can't really defend it, but I'm not going to call it a guilty pleasure because it's not guilty at all for me, and I watch it at least once a year, sometimes more than that, when I'm in a mood where I need some pick-me-up. But, just DVDs for this right now, and I'd love to see a nice Blu-ray. Okay, another one that definitely needs a Blu-ray, but I'm guessing it's got music issues, and that is Satisfaction, starring Justine Bateman, Liam Neeson, and Julia Roberts, as well as there's some other folks in here that I know. Trini Alvarado, I think, and but okay, so when a young group called The Mystery, I forgot that, gets its first gig at a club, it's not just a chance to perform, it's an opportunity to see what it's all about. Fresh out of high school, the rockers are hired by an exclusive beach resort. Thanks to a faded 60s songwriter, Liam Neeson, they meet with... Oh, Scott Coffey is the other one I was trying to think of. He's in this as well. They meet romance and adventure. So basically, they go out for the summer. They're supposed to play at this club. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. They track down Liam Neeson. He's like, all right, you can play. And so they, it's sort of like a hangout for the summer movie with some romance and them, I think, playing their own stuff. Like, they're playing a lot of covers, but they might have one or two originals in there. But it's a fun movie. And it was one that almost recently, I want to say, was going to play at a local rep theater in LA, but I think there was some issue with the print. So this one's becoming harder to see. I don't think it's streamable. There may be a YouTube rip, but it's just 80s fun, it's just really a fun movie, and I enjoy it, and I really think... I know it has a fan base. I know it has people that remember it from, again, cable and VHS, but it seems to have fallen out of favor a little bit, which is too bad. But I'm a fan. I'm definitely going to hang on to this. It's another Fox title, so... Okay, more musical fun. Let's talk about Tapeheads. This is another Anchor Bay DVD, and a really nice one at that. And to be honest, I don't know, unless they licensed all these extras, I don't know that we get a better release of this, but I'm guessing it's another music-related one. This was a regular VHS tape that I saw in the cult sections of my local video stores. It was always in the cult sections. Stars John Cusack and Tim Robbins, among others, and it is about them trying to make it as video producers, kind of, for one of their favorite bands, the Swanky Modes. After being fired from their jobs as security guards, lifelong friends Ivan, John Cusack, and Josh, Tim Robbins, form Video Aces to break into the world of music videos, but when they tried to resuscitate the career of legendary soul duo, the Swanky Modes, Junior Walker and Sam Moore, they find themselves careening through an outrageous underworld of chicken and waffles, Scandinavian synth bands, Menudo concerts, we love Menudo, and a presidential candidate with a fairy princess fetish. Tapeheads features appearances by Don Cornelius, Connie Stevens, Martha Quinn, Ted Nugent, Bobcat Goldthwait, Susan Tyrell, Jello Biafra, Dougie Fresh, and Michael Nesmith, who is a producer on this one, I believe. From the Monkees, plus a killer soundtrack of songs by Fishbone, Devo, Circle Jerks, Dead Kennedys, They Might Be Giants, King Cotton, Bob Roberts, and more. Definitely The Problem, if I had to guess. And this has a commentary with director Bill Fishman and Mike Nesmith and production designer Catherine Hardwick. And again, just sort of goofy fun, this one. And I don't know why, but I always thought of it in conjunction with Repo Man, although they're not that similar in any way, but a fun one for sure, and another one that I don't think you can stream, but there's always a possible YouTube rip out there. But yeah, this disc I think actually came with comes with this Swanky Modes Ordinary Man CD. I can't believe this hasn't happened. This feels like the Arrow videos and the Blu-ray producers of the world know about this movie, so there must be some issue with it, and I don't know beyond the music what it could be, but it's a fun film. Speaking of 80s fun, we have Body Rock, And this one stars Lorenzo Lamas as Chili. I just recently showed this to my good friend, Mr. Elric Kane, at his house, and we had a blast with it. It is the sort of breakdancing movie answer from New World Pictures to Cannon's Breakin'. You know, like Breakin' is a huge hit, and then we get Breakin' 2 in the same year, I think, and we get Body Rock, we get Beat Street, we get Wild Style, we get all these different movies. But this one is particularly fun because it's like, I think Elric said it best. He's like, if Chili was today, he'd want to be an influencer. But in this movie, it's like he wants to be a graffiti artist, he wants to be a breakdancer, he wants to be a singer, you know, so it's a lot of different things. And it's a classic sort of, you know, one guy gets picked up and has to leave his group behind. In this case, Ray Sharkey's like a producer that goes for Lorenzo Lamas, and then his buddy Cameron Dye, who I love, great sidekick, the best sidekick in Valley Girl with Nick Cage, but he's in a bunch of movies. Big Cameron Dye fan. He's buddies with Lorenzo Lamas, and so there's breakdancing and there's lots of fun 80s music, and it's a really fun movie. And this is another Anchor Bay DVD, and it's not streamable as far as I know, but super fun and just a great title. Body Rock, come on. Okay, this one is super cool. I owe my friend Brendan Small of Metalocalypse fame for turning me on to this one. We actually did a Just a Disc podcast, if you go to the podcast feed, several years ago now, where we talked about this, and we talked about Chuck Berry, Hail Hail Rock and Roll, which is a really great music doc, by the way, and that is available obviously on Blu-ray and to stream. But this one, not so much. Off the charts, the song Poem Story. And this is like, I always like to compare everything to American Movie because I feel like it's a touchstone that everybody knows, but it's like, well, okay, here. Take a funny and often moving trip into the strange and humorous world of the song poem industry. In this little-known subculture, quote, ordinary people send in their heartfelt but often bizarre poems to companies that, for a fee, turn them into full-fledged musical productions. Advertising in the back of magazines, these companies lure the would-be songwriters with promises of fortune and fame. This peculiar concoction of American commerce, musicianship, and poetic longing creates oddly compelling songs that are unlike anything you've ever heard of. Off the charts, the song Poem Story explores the lives and dreams of the songwriters and musicians who operate within the strange world of song poems. Featuring not-so-famous songs like Nonviolent Taekwondo Troopers, Blind Man's Penis, I Am Ginseng Digger, Richard Nixon, Jimmy Carter Says Yes, Annie Oakley, Chicken Insurrection. Yeah, it is something. And seeing and meeting with these people who are the song, you meet with the people who do the songs and produce them, and then you meet with the songwriters, and you often see their response to the songs that they got from the words they sent in, and they are amazing. And some of them make music videos out of them, and it is just, like I said, if you like American Movie, it is that kind of characters, but times 10, because there's many people that write these songs. This is a Shout Factory DVD, and I don't know, I know you can stream it on maybe Vimeo. I think the director had reached out after I did the Jamie Meltzer is his name, after I did that episode, and was super nice, and had mentioned that you can get it digitally there. So Vimeo might be available if you want to check out there, but not easy. Maybe it's on YouTube, you could rent it or something, but it is just a blast. Quotable earworm songs that will get in your head that are ridiculous. I really owe Brendan for this one. It's a really great little documentary. Okay, more music. We have Peyton Reed's film Down with Love. And I used to love when they would do this. They would make a special run of a pink DVD case, even to put this movie in. And this one's particularly fun because it is like Peyton Reed, breaks in a little bit with Bring It On, where he's doing his take on cheerleader movies. And I can't remember if this is his direct follow-up to that, but it's close. And it is a super fun takeoff on like the Rock Hudson, Doris Day musicals of the 60s. And in fact, I want to say in the commentary, Peyton mentions they do some stuff of people driving around in the cabs. Because I believe it's set in the 60s, I want to say. And they actually use some plates of the backgrounds from, like Frank Tashlin movies or something like that. Like The Girl Can't Help It, or I can't remember what, but it's a combination of the Doris Day, Rock Hudson sex comedies, maybe a little Frank Tashlin, but the idea, Renee Zellweger, Ewan McGregor, and David Hyde Pierce star in the most stylish romantic comedy of the year. Down with Love is a tantalizing battle of the sexes. When best-selling feminist author Barbara Novak, that's Zellweger, becomes the target of dashing playboy Catcher Block, that's McGregor, the sparks they generate will fly you to the moon and back. So it's very much like, if you've seen Pillow Talk, it's kind of a takeoff on that, where Doris Day knows Rock Hudson's Lothario character from the party line that they have, but then he pretends to be like a Texan, some yokel, to meet her, and she sort of falls for that guy. And so that's what Catcher Block is. He's a journalist that's trying to do an expose and say she's not really anti-sex. She's, because she's saying down with sex and, men are terrible, which, it's true. But it's super fun, got some fun songs, some fun energy to it, some great production design, great audio commentary from Peyton Reed, deleted scenes with commentary, HBO special, 8 production vignettes. I mean, this was a really nice Blu-ray back in the day. Another Fox movie. Noticing a pattern here. But anyway, super fun, really needs a Blu-ray. Can be streamed, I think. I'm pretty sure, yeah. Okay, this one's pretty obscure. This one's called Jerry and Tom, and it's from 91? No. When is it from? I want to say middle 90s, but I'm blanking right now. But it's one that I came across on VHS. It stars Joe Mantegna and Sam Rockwell, as well as Maury Chaykin, Ted Danson, Charles Durning, William H. Macy, Peter Riegert. And it is a very interesting... Is it based on a play? It's directed by Saul Rubinek, actor Saul Rubinek, who did a movie called Soup for One, which actually would be... I think he directed and starred in that one? Or is that somebody else that I'm blanking on? I'm getting my stuff crossed here, folks. But Saul Rubinek, an actor, for instance, he plays Lee Donowitz in True Romance. He's the producer. And a lot of people will remember him from that movie. But great actor who's in a ton of other great movies. Ticket to Heaven, if you haven't seen that, I love that movie. He shows up in a lot of stuff. Just a really great actor. And he directs this one. I don't think he's in it. But it's obviously a case of an actor knows other actors and gets involved. Some might call this like a post-Pulp Fiction-y kind of thing. I want to say it came out after Pulp Fiction. But it's a little different than that. I mean, it's about two... Okay, this first-rate motion picture features the popular Joe Mantegna in an edgy offbeat story about two second-rate used car salesmen moonlighting as hitmen for the mob. A quiet family man by day, Tom Mantegna teaches his new partner Jerry, Sam Rockwell, all he knows about his other job, that of a professional killer. But even if he's shocked at first, the brash young Jerry soon acquires such a taste for his newfound profession that it scares everyone around him, even those who scare people for a living. Also starring William H. Macy, Ted Danson in funny, memorable roles. Jerry and Tom is sure to be a hit with anyone who's ever enjoyed the wit and intrigue of Hollywood's best mobster movies. I want to say this one, I'm pretty sure is streamable. And I wish this had a commentary. I'd love to hear Saul Rubinek's thoughts on the film. But it's, dark comedy, goofy stuff, dramatic in some spots, but definitely forgotten. Maybe it was never really that well known to begin with, but it was definitely a movie you could have picked up during the video era on the shelf when you were watching, Sam Rockwell movies or William H. Macy movies. And that's how I think I came across it ultimately. But I do enjoy this one. Nobody talks about it at all anymore. Okay, and the last one, it's actually going to end up being three things because it's one of my favorite directors, and that's John Sayles. And I'll start with Limbo, which is a really great late, I think this came out in 99. So it was actually an early DVD. I want to say the DVD didn't come out exactly the same time as the VHS, but it came out a few years after and has never been upgraded. And this is a Sony movie. So this is another one you can stream, but I'm shocked it's not gotten a Blu-ray. But really interesting movie because it's about, well, how do they describe it? Untamed wilderness along Alaska's coast. Feelings and fortunes change as quickly as the tides. In this haunting and hypnotic thriller from critically acclaimed director John Sayles, traumatized by a boat accident at sea many years before, Joe Gastineau, that's David Strathairn, who is one of the regulars in John Sayles' stock company. I love Strathairn. I think he's an incredible actor, and I love that Sayles made him a regular part of his group, as well as Chris Christopherson, who shows up in a few movies. This isn't the direct follow to Lone Star, but it's close. He's given up hopes for a life beyond the odd jobs he takes to support himself. That quickly changes when Donna D'Angelo, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, bar singer and nomad, and her troubled teenage daughter, Noelle, enter Joe's life. And both mother and daughter fall for Joe. Increasingly, already present friction between them. The tension continues to build when Joe... Okay, I don't want to get into that last part because basically Joe's brother shows up, played by Casey Shamasco from 3 O'Clock High, who I love. And he's got a little proposition for Joe to take a boat out, and there's some twists and turns, and the movie definitely lives up to its name. It shifts on its axis, and I think Sayles had said in the commentary, I can't remember if he compared it to Something Wild, but Demi's Something Wild is a similar kind of movie that starts one way and kind of shifts into another thing. So this starts like a romantic, drama, and then becomes more of a thriller. Chris Christopherson is involved. I won't talk about that, but it's a great movie. Like, I hadn't rewatched it in a few years. I remember liking it a lot when it came out, maybe being a little perplexed by the ending. Now I love it. I think it's great. It's just one of those movies that Sayles just really knocked it out of the park. This has a commentary, and I always love his commentaries. Also has an isolated music track. Mason Daring did the score. He often worked with Sayles. But yeah, just a really great, unique film that I really want a Blu-ray for. And while we're talking about Sayles Blu-rays, let's talk about Sunshine State. This is another one that's like an all-star cast. And it's like City of Hope. City of Hope. Which is... I've talked about that Blu-ray came out this year. One of Sayles' best movies. Definitely seems like an influence on The Wire. Great look at city government on all levels, corruption, all kinds of things. This is looking at a similar kind of thing, but it's a small town in Florida this time. Comes an unforgettable portrait of rich, diverse Florida town threatened by real estate developers. Edie Falco, Angela Bassett, and Timothy Hutton lead a remarkable ensemble cast. A tidal wave of changes coming to Delrona Beach, Florida. Out-of-state developers have descended upon the sleepy coastal community with the promise of big bucks and bigger changes. Torn between honoring family obligations and the lure of quick cash, the locals greet the outsiders with a wildly mixed reception. Marley, that's Edie Falco, is eager to sell her family business and start her life over. As the caretaker of her father's motel and restaurant, she's grown resentful of missed opportunities, but finds a glimmer of hope in a tentative romance of a visiting landscape architect. That's Timothy Hutton. But, yeah, it's got a really great Mary Steenburgen. There's a whole bunch of folks in this. Miguel Ferrer, Jane Alexander, James McDaniel. It's really solid. This is another one you can stream pretty easily, but it does have the commentary from Sayles on this, and I love that he would do these on almost any movie that got a physical release, and I love his commentaries. But yeah, this one surprisingly slept on, considering its Sayles, and it's really good. I just love, as a companion piece to City of Hope, I think it's a must. And lastly, this is one I only discovered this year, and which is really sad because It's got library tags all over it because I had to buy it used from a library copy, and the DVD is out of print, not streamable, very hard to see. This is officially John Sayles' final film to date, the last movie he made, and I may have talked about it here before, I can't remember, but it's called Gopher Sisters. It's from 2013, and it is just fantastic. Like, I just love it, and it's one of those that I had somehow missed that had come out, and I was listening to the playlist. I think it's the B-sides podcast for the film stage, I want to say, and they were doing John Sayles. They interviewed him, and they love to pull out the B-sides, as it were, the lesser talked about films, which is something that I love. I know my partner Elder Kane loves when we talk about movies on Pure Cinema, and this is just one where I was like, Gopher Sisters, I totally missed it. Another one they talked about was Amigo, which is the movie he did before this, which is, I don't think even got any physical release. It's almost impossible to see. It was on Tubi for like a second maybe, but anyway, this is great. So this is a three-hander with Edward James Olmos, Lisa Gay Hamilton, and Yolanda Ross. And basically you have Bernice, Lisa Gay Hamilton, and Fontaine, Yolanda Ross, grew up so close, people said they could go for sisters. But time sent them down different paths. 20 years later, both their paths cross again. Fontaine is a recovering addict fresh out of jail, and Bernice is her new parole officer. When Bernice's son Rodney goes missing on the Mexican border, his shady associates all in hiding or brutally murdered, Bernice realizes she needs someone to navigate Rodney's world without involving the police, and turns to her old friend. That's Fontaine. The pair enlist the services of a disgraced ex-LAPD detective, Freddie Suarez, that's Eddie James Olmos, and plunged into a dim underbelly of Tijuana, forced to unravel complex web of human traffickers. Anyway, everybody's great in this. They're all fantastic. And I just, especially the Lisa Gay Hamilton, the Yolanda Ross relationship is so good. But Eddie almost steals the movie. He's partially blind, so that's a thing, but he's like a detective, and he's an ex-cop. He's helping them. And it's just great drama, has some great tension to it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And this movie is just impossible to see now. It's got a commentary by Sayles, so you have to seek out the Blu-ray for this, but you can't stream it, which is awful. And I don't know that it's been streaming on any service. Now, this is another one that ostensibly it kind of looks like a Sony release, but it's not. It's something else. So it's one of those that, the DVD run, I think, was relatively small. And so you'd have to pick up a used DVD copy, which is sad. But anyway, sorry for the long sales plug at the end, but he's one of my favorite directors and somebody that I would love to see get some more love on Blu-ray. So this has turned into what was going to be a short video, a much longer video. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. I will be back at some point with more like this if you want. But anyway, thank you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.